Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our continuing education podcast. Today, we're looking back at a topic that we've talked about already, and we're talking about maybe it's better if you start off as friends and then move into a relationship. And we have another profile review to round out our episode, but before that, Sania, do you have anything you want to tell us or any updates?
Unfortunately, the tea's been a little dry.
Really?
I don't know, I don't feel like there's been anything happening. I feel like I'm just I don't think there's anything major happening.
Mm-hmm.
What about for you, Ethan? You were just on a trip, anything exciting?
But it was a service trip. It wasn't.
But like I said, you can meet volunteers, like-minded people. No?
Yeah. I met people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that. So this service trip was with a high school.
Right.
So there are a lot of teachers there. And there are some other people who are just random volunteers like me.
Yeah.
So I did meet people, but then almost everyone is older than I am.
Right.
But if you listen to the episode where we talk about the dating age range, maybe that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anything's going to happen. But usually when I'm in those situations, I'm talking to people.
Right.
So it's not like there's zero chance of anything happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the takeaway from that is no matter what situation you guys are in,
mm-hmm.
There's always opportunities to meet people, and you should be talking to people whether you're interested in them or not, making new friends, and that's gonna get you or put you in a better position because you're just naturally being more social. Even if nothing happens with the people that you're meeting, maybe they have friends, or maybe they'll invite you to something mm-hmm. down the line and you'll meet someone. Mm-hmm. And so if you have the social battery, I think it's always worth it to just have some conversations. Doesn't mean you have to be best friends,
mm-hmm.
but that's kind of my attitude.
No, that's, I think, really good.
Mm-hmm. But you've been hanging out a little more with someone. Is it just hanging out? Are you calling them dates? Are you also talking to other people?
I think the person Ethan is talking about is serial dater, and I have been hanging out more with him. I feel like I fall for people really easily, really quickly. But then when things get when it's time to get really close to someone, I get freaked out. And then that's when I start questioning everything. And I was like, well, why are we even together? What is the point of everything? What is the goal of this relationship? What's the intent behind this and that? So I feel like that's kind of where things are going with serial dater right now. Which I'm sure is overwhelming for him because, remember, he's never had a girlfriend, mm-hmm. For someone to sit there and, tell him these questions about very serious things, it's probably, a shock for him. But also, one thing, I respect all my past relationships. I think I learned a lot from them. But one thing from my first ex that I really disliked was that, we were together for so long. And it was time to I felt comfortable to have those serious conversations. Where is this going? What do you want? What do I want? And just what we both wanted was so completely different. Not in terms of oh, do we want a family? But it's he wanted it so much later down the line than when I wanted it. And just things didn't match up. There was nothing wrong with that. But so I'm just now I'm extra scared and I don't want to put time and effort and even let myself seriously see anybody unless I know that we want the same stuff, because I don't want to be in the same situation that I was in, date someone for 4 or 5 years only to
yeah,
realize that we don't have the same goals.
So you feel that way more because you're unsure of where things are going as opposed to you're scared of getting too close to someone?
I think it's a little bit mix of both. I don't know if I'm using this conversation as a excuse to keep people a little bit at arm's length, because I think it is kind of scary to let yourself let your guard down and really be close to someone. I think going on dates is one thing, but then actually locking it in and because we're older. Like, dating means something more now. It's not like, it's great that I enjoy your company, but it's like, for what though? You know, like what is the reason? So I think those are just like the questions that have been coming up in my mind. And I think especially more because we've been hanging out. Because like I said, we were in the same friend group, so we hung out a lot in general. But I think seeing each other and like having more meaningful conversations just makes me want to ask all these other questions, and makes me want to, like, you know, just end it if it needs to be ended.
Have you been having these meaningful conversations?
We've been having conversations about, like, oh, like, you know, what does he want to do in his, like, future? Like, not about me and him. And just his answers are, like, making me be like, oh, like, maybe he doesn't want the same stuff as me. And so I've been kind of, like, poking at the subject of, like, oh, like, what about us? Like, where is this going? And obviously, like, I understand that that's probably, like, super overwhelming. Like, he just wants to enjoy the relationship and, like, enjoy spending time together. And that's great, but not like I can't have fun and just enjoy spending time. I do. But I think that's why I'm asking those questions, because it's like, oh, yeah, like, I do like spending time, but, like, what... Like, why do I like spending time?
I think maybe right now he might feel uncomfortable, but he's going to appreciate it down the line.
Yeah. Like, and I want to save his time, too. Like, if he just wants something a little bit more unserious, because it would be, like, you know, first real relationship, that's totally fine. I don't want to, like, force somebody into something more serious than they're ready for. But I also don't want to, like, be unfair to myself if I'm ready for certain things.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Gonna go back home to Canada. Gonna go talk to my mommy, and then maybe come and put on my big girl pants and just, like, because I have been bringing up the topics, but I think we both know the outcome that conversation is gonna lead to, so we just haven't, like, said the words and, like, had the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like you already have your big girl pants on. It just... it's hard for that to initiate that conversation for anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess on my end, I've decided I'm not ever going to do online dating again.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
So...
Not because of Houston.
No, it was. But the thing is, the night I ended things with Houston, I called up my boys. Yeah. And then I deleted my account right in front of them. And I made a decision... We'll see how well I stick to it, but I just think that with online dating, there comes a lot of expectations, and then also it's like, it's a whole different world. And so we definitely need an episode on how to navigate the online dating world, but I think that if something becomes serious, it gets serious really quickly. Okay. Because people don't want to, like, waste time and
Wait, you don't think that was just the case with this one particular girl?
But I don't want to repeat a situation like that again. So yes, it was with that one girl, but I'm like, that can still happen with other girls.
But it could also be other people that you meet, because you went on multiple dates and not all of them turned so serious. Like, even if you like each other, like, it doesn't have to become so serious so fast, I guess. I think also there was maybe added pressure because it was online and it was long distance. So, like, you really needed a reason to be making time and talking to each other because of the distance also.
Yeah, but I think on the flip side, if I meet someone in person, there's just a lot more time and opportunities to get to know them a little slowly. And what I like about meeting people in person is, I know for myself, I'm not judging them right off the bat. And so it's easier to just start off as friends. And there's, like, no expectations. And I just get to know them as a person. When I meet them on an app, there's an expectation of, we both need to figure out if the other person is a good fit. Whereas in person, it's like, let me just get to know who you are. And then we can kind of go from there. And so I would rather do that in person way, because I don't want to ever I don't want to be so judgmental. And then also with Houston, I think a big piece of the puzzle was I never felt sparks between us.
Okay.
And I really don't believe that you need to feel sparks.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think for me, like never meeting her in person and then also just having a profile to go off of and then just like FaceTime calls, it was harder to build that. It's harder to build a connection.
Okay, yeah.
And then I can talk more about this, but I think the last thing I'll say is I don't think I have any problems meeting someone in person. I think if I struggled to do that, if I was more introverted, if I had less social circles, then that's still a good option. But I think for me, in this time of my life, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go through that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I do get what you mean about, there's like a certain pressure when you're meeting somebody off an app, which it's not nice to like be talking to someone with that pressure in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do get trying to avoid that. So I guess, Ethan, you're going to be trying to turn your friends into romantic situations.
Okay, if you're watching this and you're my friend, no, that is not my goal, okay? But I think that is a good segue into this episode. So what's been interesting just for me and like observing what's been going on with this podcast is we're not really big right now.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But what really keeps me going is when we get feedback and people come up and they say, oh, I like what you talked about. Yeah. But then a lot of people have been coming up and saying, I've been disagreeing with what you guys have been talking about. And so one of the things that I think a lot of people disagree with us is that I think there's a big group of people, mostly girls, who would rather start a relationship as friends.
Okay.
Because they get to know the person without any pressure, like we just talked about.
Right.
But then also your mutual friends are gauging how well like the other person is a good fit.
Right.
And then you're just able to hang out and do activities together and you're figuring out like if they're a person that you like instead of jumping to figuring out if that person is a good fit for you. Okay. That's fair. I like that you said, it is definitely less pressure. And it's like a more comfortable way to get to know the other person. But what I'm thinking about is, let's say you are the girl and you're trying to get to know this guy and you're just hanging out with him. Then we get into like, because we don't want to hurt people. And then it's just like, oh, like, are you leading this person on? Like, because it's like, because you're just knowing them as friends, right? It's nothing romantic has been decided yet. It's no pressure. But let's say, obviously, since you are considering them for that role in your life, right? Like, so, maybe you're being a little bit flirty, even when you are just friends and getting to know them. And then it's just like, maybe at the end of the day, you decide you don't like them. Like, are you a villain then? like a genuine question. Yeah. We need to talk about this. You're a little bit of a villain. Right? Yeah.
Because I would feel so bad for that guy.
But it could be the other way around.
Yeah, or the other... Yeah, totally the other way around, too. But then it's just like you just feel so bad for the other person because, like, they weren't even aware that you guys... At least when you're talking to somebody with the intent of a relationship, both of you are aware that... Not that, someone can get hurt, but both of you are aware that, we're figuring out what's going on. We kind of are interested in each other, and we're both figuring it out.
Yeah.
By hanging out, getting, like, boba, going to go play tennis, like, whatever it is. But then if it's just somebody who's your friend, I see them as, like, an innocent prey. Like, just, like, they don't even know that you're considering them. And then all of a sudden they start getting, like, flirty vibes from you, and then they're like, oh, like, maybe I could like them. And I'm sorry, I'm only talking about one condition where the person that you're considering, you don't end up liking them. Like, you don't end up going through with it and turning it into a relationship. And then that person just ends up, like, a little confused. You, I think a lot of times would even end up losing the friendship. And, like, if you're all part of the same friend group, like, it would just, like, explode everything. Like, it's just so, those same friends that could be there to support you and be like, oh, like, I think he does like you because he does this, or she likes you because she's talking about you. Those same friends would be, like, awkward, and they'd be like, oh, yeah, he was on another date last week. Like, you know? So it's just, yeah.
But I want to clarify a little bit. So in this situation, so let's say like person 1 likes person 2. Or okay. Or should we say like A and B? I don't know.
1 and 2 is cool.
Okay, so person 1 likes person 2.
Okay.
And then person 1 starts flirting.
Right.
And then are you saying person 2 starts flirting back and being playful back? Or are they the ones who are confused?
Like, let's say person 1 and 2 are friends, right? And person 1 and 2 are hanging out. And they think they're just hanging out as friends. There's no context of a relationship yet. Because that's the idea, right? You become friends, like, you start off as friends and then decide if you want to pursue anything.
Yeah.
And then let's say person 1 starts to have interest in person 2. So instead of just friendship, they start, they start being flirty. Maybe they'll ask some few different questions, like whatever it is that you need to do to take that friendship from friendship into dating. So we can have a couple of different ways person 2 can react. Either person 2 just doesn't like you, which would also, you would lose the friendship still because it'd be awkward. Like, all this stuff, because you're just like, oh, why is this person flirting with me? Like, I thought we were friends all along. And then person 2 is going to feel cheated. Like you weren't my friend all this time. Like, you were only doing this because you had these other ulterior goals. And then, or there's the option of like, oh, person 2, maybe is also interested back. But then person 1 was just figuring it out. They weren't ever that deep. It was never that serious. They never took it to the next step, but they were starting to flirt and figure it out.
Yeah.
And then person 1 is like, you know what? Never mind. I like you better as a friend. Person 2 is going to be like, what did you just do this for? And then again, you lose that friend. You're a villain.
Yeah.
And just like, so.
And you're going to start the other person's villain arc too. And then they become a villain. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a really bad cycle. So, like, I think I like the idea of, friends to lovers, like, but I think it's like, I think if at any point, I think you should just be honest with yourself and the other person. And if at any point you are considering them for something as more than friendship, not like you need to go tell them, but like, you should be honest and like communicate well how you're feeling.
I totally agree. And it can feel like a big jump to just be honest and communicate well. I think you have 2 options. So if you start off as friends and you start to catch feelings, or you just want to maybe try and date and see where things go, I think that you either start being flirty yourself and you start asking them some more dating related questions and saying, oh, what do you think of, or where's your head at in terms of dating, and leading the conversation more that way. And then also asking questions like, oh, what's your type? And so I guess you're just poking a little bit, and then based on how they answer, maybe they're kind of flirting back. Like there's also been situations that I'm in where it's a little more clear, and so maybe we're in a group setting, and then someone will ask, oh, is there anyone that you're interested in, Ethan, out of like the people here? And then like my friend has said, oh, she's already right here. And so making comments like that, not just asking the questions, but being a little playful in how you talk with your friend. Like, I think that's the first method. And then I think the second method is you need to figure out where they're at. And so you start poking and you're putting feelers out in option 1, but then in option 2, I think the way you know where they're at is by asking their friends. or you're figuring out, oh, I guess I messed it up, but you're also asking them like,
Okay.
oh, like what are you looking for?
Right.
What is your type?
Directly, okay.
And so I think it's important to do both, but then I think it's also important when you're putting feelers out, making your interest a little more clear and also figuring out where their head is at and
Right.
what they're interested in to be ready to back off if they don't reciprocate.
Okay, and I think this last sentence is so critical because I've been in situations where, yeah, people will put out feelers, and maybe I'm also confused about my feelings. So maybe this person's putting out feelers, and maybe I am reciprocating them, and like I am being playful and being flirty, but also remember we said that a lot of times could just be people's personalities. But then let's say all that happens and you're flirting back, but then again, because you started with this base of friendship, I think it's fair game if either one of you decides you don't want to take that next step into a relationship. But people aren't able to, you know how you said you should be prepared to back off?
Yeah.
And you should be okay with it if you put the feelers out and the other person isn't feeling it? I think it's really rare that people are able to do that.
I guess what I'm thinking now is if you want to put the feelers out, a good method, a practical method is organize like a group activity. So maybe a board game night.
Okay.
Or maybe you go get food together and try a new dessert place in town.
Okay.
And when you're like picking who to invite, make sure that someone in the group is one of your friends, someone that you can trust, someone who's objective. And so when you're in this group setting, they can be the ones who's observing your interactions and letting you know based on the other person's body language and how they talk, and do they actually seem interested, and do you have a shot?
That's a good idea. I think a third person who's unbiased would be able to tell you better stuff that you can't see yourself, or maybe you don't want to admit to yourself.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of times when we meet someone that we're interested in, we just want to hang out with them alone.
Yeah.
But then that raises the stakes super high. But then also, when you're in that position, you're wearing these glasses, these rose-tinted glasses. Like, I know for myself, I want to be able to see things clearly if I did that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to bring in your friends, get them involved.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then if you know that the other person's friends, getting them involved too, I think is actually really good.
I mean, yeah, if you're all part of the same friend group, you should ask and just figure it out.
Yeah.
Instead of like going in blind and making things awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's still like a kind of like a messy game to play. And it's like kind of unfortunate if you do like one of your friends. Like, it's kind of cute also, right? Because you know them so well. But I think if you are going to go for a friend, you just have to remember to like always respect the friendship. And make sure that, like, you know, because it's not that deep. Like, whatever you do, like, don't let yourself catch feelings that far ahead unless you know that, you know, you guys have both decided and said the words that, oh yeah, let's try dating. Because like, if you let yourself get carried away, it could end up so bad.
I think that's key, because if you let the feelings get too deep, then you're not asking the other person out anymore.
Yeah.
You're like, you reach the point where you feel a need to confess.
Yeah.
And that's like, you've probably gone way too far if you've gone into that point, because first of all, how well do you actually know the other person that you feel like you need to confess something? And then it's like you might have crossed the boundary of the friendship. And so if you want any chance of this going well, if things go somewhere or things don't, the goal should always be to stay as friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you start a relationship, like, you have that foundation. If the other person turns you down, hopefully you can still be friends after that too. But if you got into a point where you are confessing your love or how much you like them, it makes it very hard to go back as friends because one person, or at least one person, is just like at a different place. They're in Delululand. And so I think what we're understanding is that when you start to have feelings for someone, before it gets deeper than that, you have to do something about it or back off.
Right.
And and so I think even as uncomfortable as it is, it's going to be much worse if you just go on autopilot, you just stay friends, and then all of a sudden, like, you have all these feelings that you need to get out, and then it just it becomes too much on the other person.
I think one thing we're realizing is, Ethan, like you were saying, if you're so close to the other person, you know them so well, like, all this stuff is bound to happen. So I guess if you do want to start as friends first, cool, but I think you should be like not like best friends, like doing everything together every day, because then the chances of things going like, the potential for one person to have feelings that the other one doesn't have, like, that stuff increases so much more. If you guys are just, totally cool if you're part of the same friend group and you want to pursue them. But if you're best friends with the other person and then you want to pursue them, that makes it so much harder because you know them so well, you have all of these ideas and expectations in your mind that maybe you have brought up the conversation with your friend and they're like, no, we can't date, but you just keep thinking you'll be the exception. They're saying no, you'll have your Delulu glasses on. And so I think if you're, maybe you can be friends first, but not starting with being so close friends.
Yeah, I totally agree. Guys, especially for the guys, you want to avoid that best friend label. And this also is a question for me, but the way guys and girls view best friends is pretty different.
Okay.
So my question is, if a girl calls you her best friend, does that automatically mean that your friend zone, you have no shot? I feel like it does.
It like does. I know I've like called people my best friend and then let things happen.
Oh.
but it's just like you keep calling them best friend because you're trying to tell yourself, because you know yourself, like things shouldn't happen between you two.
Okay.
But then if just like, if you're feeling really close, like stuff could happen. But I think usually when girls say best friend, like, I mean best friend. Like I can talk to you about, like, I don't know, like horror stories at the nail salon. I can talk to you about, like, random stuff, like if I have an infection from a hangnail, like really gross stuff. But, like, and, like, I would still expect you to spend a lot of time with me, give me, like, a lot of effort. Like, let's go shopping together, best friend. Like, that's all still fine. But I think a lot of times girls do use the word best friend to be, like, to remind you, like, yes, you're very close to me, but there's still distance between us.
Yeah, definitely. I personally think that as a guy, if a girl tells you or calls you best friend, like, you should not make any moves.
Let her do it. If you really think she's just saying best friend playfully, give her a chance to show you. Like,
Okay, so if we were trying to make a roadmap to help everyone out there, going from friends and transitioning into dating, what would we say? I think for myself, we talked about taking the first step and figuring out where they're at, but then also being a little flirty.
Right.
And I think right after that step, if you feel like they're reciprocating, if your friends are also telling you that they seem interested, then I think at that point, the clear and honest communication needs to come out, and you just ask them out on a date. Okay. And be specific
and use
about
the word
a date.
Oh
yes,
my God,
use
please.
the word.
Don't say, let's go grab food. That is not a date.
Oh, yeah. That's so confusing because the other person will think that you're just going to get food as friends. Then they're going to be confused when you're trying to pay the bill.
Like with especially when you're trying to have a relationship with a friend, with somebody who started off as a friend, you have to be so much more clear because everything is so much more confusing. Because, you're still eating together like you used to, but now all of a sudden it's like romantic. And the person will be confused because you're trying to like pay the bill and you're just like, what? Like, why? So, yeah, the clear communication is more important than ever in this situation, I think.
But do you agree with that step? Like, right after they have shown some kind of interest, you ask?
100%. Because I think, again, if you let it linger, if you have that interest and you don't bring up the conversation because it's a hard conversation to bring up, and you just keep putting it the label of friends, definitely one person's going to, like, be so deep into it, and the other person might not be, and so it could just go so many wrong ways.
Yeah. I see two, like, alternate scenarios happening where I think a lot of people don't really know what they want when they're dating. And so they'll just be flirty with their friends and they won't think too much about it, and they might even agree to go on a date with their friend.
Right.
And I'm wondering if we want to encourage that. But then also I think there's some people who would rather get to know someone as a friend more.
Okay.
And so would rather you just ask them to dinner.
Just hang out. Yeah.
Because they feel like if you call it a date, that's too much pressure.
True, but at some point, like, if you want to get into a relationship, like, at some point you do have to, like, you know, wake up and, like, face the music. Like, there is going to be that pressure. Like, I've personally had too many experiences where, you know, people start off as friends and then, you know, they'll ask you to just hang out. And when you say, if you're already my friend, right, nothing has happened, you haven't said anything, I haven't said anything, so you're starting as my friend, then you're saying, let's go grab food. In my mind, I'm just going to think we're becoming closer friends because we're grabbing food maybe without the rest of the group. I'm not going to think it means anything deeper because your words told me, let's go grab food. But if you're wanting to spend that time with me one-on-one and eat one-on-one and talk one-on-one, maybe you are interested, and you should let me know right when you're sure about your feelings, you should let me know, because otherwise the other person's left. Like a lot of times when people have said that they, you know, friends have said, oh, I like you, I felt really like I was in the dark. I don't know if I was just oblivious to a lot of stuff, but I think if you do a lot of nice things under the context of, like, being friends, I will just take it as you being a really good friend. I won't take it as, like, wow, like, this is so romantic, like, he dropped me off at the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just gonna be like, wow, he's such a good friend, like, he's sacrificing his sleep, like, you know, like, I'm so lucky to have him in my life.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like all along you were doing all of those things maybe because you were interested.
I think this kind of goes back to the reason why a lot of people out there want to be friends first, because I think everyone wants the foundation of their relationship, their romantic relationship, to be a friendship.
Right.
And so a lot of times when you just jump into dating, you start talking about, like, more serious things.
True.
And then sometimes you forget
all
to,
the
like,
fun.
Yeah, exactly. The just
the exciting, like, being kids, like, hanging out,
the butterflies. And so I think some people out there would say it's good to have clear and honest communication and not let the feelings go too far before you make a move. But then I think some people would say,
keep being friends.
Yeah, like, isn't it better to get those reps in as friends?
Okay. And to those people, I would just say, like, I think it's totally okay to, if you want to keep the pressure away, to keep doing stuff as just under that friend's umbrella. But then you have to be more prepared. You have to be braver and stronger and prepared for, like, a possible worse outcome. Just because you are letting yourself get that close and you haven't defined things yet. So you can't make the other person out to be a bad guy if you yourself haven't just, like, you know, nothing's been discussed. So you keep wanting to get closer to them as friends, no pressure. And then eventually you're going to wake up one day and be like, damn, I, like, really like this friend. And you have all these expectations. So I think a way that I would do it if I like somebody in my friend group is I would just hang out in groups. And until the day that I'm, like, sure that the other person likes me or sure that I just have all these feelings and like I'm already at that point where, you know, not point of no return, but I'm like, okay, this is overwhelming. I really like them. Then I would just ask them to hang out one-on-one. But if you would like to keep knowing your friend as a friend without pressure, then I think just stay doing it in groups. You know, you don't need to go to the movies together and like go on long walks and, you know, go play pickleball together. That's fine. Like, but I think we talked about this in our, like, I don't know, first episode?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think as friends you should like hang out every single weekend, just the two of you.
Yeah.
Because that, you're setting yourself up for somebody to get hurt.
I love that. And I totally agree with what you just said.
But
You notice that too?
What?
So my friends have told me that I do that a lot on this podcast. I always say like, I totally agree, but, and now I'm like super self-conscious of that, but I didn't know you were like onto me too.
I just noticed it either. Just the way your sentence is going, you were agreeing, but it wasn't ending, and I was like, oh, something else is coming.
So actually, I wasn't gonna say, but I think I want to say the other side of the coin to people wanting to develop a friendship first and them being scared to start labeling things as dates is because maybe they feel really unsure of their own feelings. And so they're like, I don't know if I even like this person back. I need some time to think about it. And so it feels a little too much when they ask me for a date. And so I love what you said, hang out in a friend group, you are able to become more sure.
Yeah, 100%.
But at some point, I think it is still important to start calling things a date.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you are the person asking, the person who is interested, wants to make the first move, for both people in the situation, I think I want to say that you can still be friends after.
Yeah.
You feel a lot of pressure once it's the date label is slapped onto it, but if you really want to develop that friendship as a foundation, that desire is in you. You're gonna do that naturally.
True.
So don't feel like, okay, now like there's all this pressure and I need to figure things out right away. That's probably not the expectation.
Yeah.
You can still
figure it out slowly. Like the person is still your friend. You know, and you shouldn't forget that just because you're putting a date label on it. You can still be understanding. You don't need to expect like, you know, between yesterday and today, just because like my friend asked me out, now I need him to be like a perfect boyfriend and like know all of these other things about, like, no, he's still your friend. It's just you guys have to agree to start dating or to go on a date. You guys are both saying, oh yeah, maybe I'm interested in you. Let's see what happens.
When we were coming up with this podcast episode idea, I think part of the reason why we decided to go with this topic is because I think for us, a lot of times relationships do come out of friendships. And so before, I think we kind of told the line of you should just avoid being friends and just make things clear, ask them out once there's interest on both sides. But I really do think that for a lot of people out there, they do start off as friends. And I think the important thing is just how to navigate that well. You can like go whatever way you want.
True. Yeah. I agree completely. I think it's just, because it's just so much, I think there's just more at stake when you go from friends versus just like meeting somebody random in a grocery store and asking them out or whatever way you want to meet people and ask people out. Like starting with that friendship thing is so much like, it's just more delicate because you have more to lose. You know, your whole friend group is involved in all of the things that we've already talked about. But yeah, if you do it the right way, like if you're not spending too much time with them one-on-one and like not letting one person get too carried away and like just being really clear, even as friends, if you're talking and you feel your friend is putting out feelers like, oh, like, what do you think about this? And like, oh, da-da-da, would you ever want to move to this country and like settle down? You can answer those questions clearly, even if they're not what the other person wants to hear. Like, you know, you don't need to wait for the person to ask you out and then say no. To like, you know, if you just feel the other person flirting and asking those things, you can be clear in your communication also to just prevent a lot of confusion and like heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone just wants to avoid heartbreak, and that's why they want to go through this route, and it's fine, but you just have to do it the right way.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I really want to bring up is that if you're a flirtatious person and just normally like really friendly with other people,
Yeah.
I think it's important to hold yourself back when you know you don't have feelings for the other person, to not be so friendly and flirty. There's a line, but it's like all gray area. And so like no one knows exactly where that line is. And if you feel like you don't know, or you're pretty sure you don't have feelings for the other person, to be flirty, to reciprocate when they message you and continue the conversation and ask them lots of questions back, I think you're not putting yourself or the other person in a good place.
Okay, so I've definitely been in this situation.
As the flirty one.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not... Okay, sure, yeah, you don't want to, come off and be flirty if you know you don't want a relationship with the other person, you know that they like you. But it's like, remember, we started off as friends first.
Mm-hmm.
So can I not have conversations with my friend? Can I not text them and ask them how is their day going? Like, da-da-da. Like, I agree that you can't hang out with them all the time, one-on-one. So certain stuff is definitely crossing the boundaries and it's like too much. But like, it's like, who decides also? Because I've also had people that get mad when I'm like, oh, actually, I don't think we should hang out. Or like, let's invite other people. And they get mad and they're just like, no, like, are you crazy? Like, I don't like you. Like, we can do this just one-on-one. And then it's like 6 months later, we are sitting down having a conversation like, oh, I always liked you. And like, I always had these feelings. And it's like, okay, like, clearly I suck. Like, because what do you do? It's really hard to navigate that. Like, so right now we're talking about how do you approach a friend and, potentially turn it into a relationship. But what about if you're the friend being approached? And what if you just want to stay friends?
So my initial instinct is say, let's just stay friends. And right. I think if you're approached and you say, I would rather stay friends.
Yes.
I feel like the other person who asked you out or made a move would not want to stay friends, because they're 100%,
yeah.
They're like, I just like
exactly
put myself out there, and then you don't want the same thing. How do I bounce back from that?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think if you're, it kind of depends on your friendship. Right. And what was like the substance in that friendship.
Okay.
If your friendship had a good foundation, then there should be nothing stopping you from just going back to being friends.
Okay.
I think the key part is putting your pride aside,
right,
as a person who initiated things, and saying, okay, this didn't work out, but that doesn't change the way the other person sees me. Right. If anything, they can respect that I was confident, that I took the initiative, that I made my intentions clear.
Right.
And that's not anything bad that you did. If you get rejected, that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely not.
But I think people take it as, oh, this is the end of the world. Yeah. This person is just going to kind of see me as a creep, or
question the whole friendship.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
But I think if you followed what Sania and I were saying, hopefully you are making your intentions clear before things get too deep.
Yes.
And then we encourage you to not be so self-conscious when, if a rejection happens, and see it as, okay, this was just me trying. It didn't work out, but we're still friends. The other person still like is cool with me, and I'm just gonna move on.
And I like what Ethan was bringing up earlier about, if you are that flirty personality, even though it might you know, the situation might make you feel like a bad person, you know, for not wanting to spend time with this person one-on-one, or for not seeing them every single weekend. You know, like maybe the person who's interested in you might make you feel super guilty about it and like call you out on it, like, oh, why, like, we're friends, why aren't you hanging out with me as much, why aren't you calling me enough? But it's because you realize that they have feelings, and you, as the person who's aware of their feelings and aware of your own feelings, that you don't have those feelings back, you should take the responsibility and like create a little space. I'm not saying don't be friends, but create a little space so that, you know, because they're over there, they're your friend, they're trying to feel out for signs. So you give them a little sign by showing them, okay, we're not that close. Like, I'm not actually interested in that way, because it's a very slippery slope, and you can lose a lot of good friendships like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to think about how you would give those signs.
Yeah.
But I think hang out with them less.
Yeah, especially one-on-one.
Yeah.
And how long you're hanging out. Like, are you hanging out from like sunrise to sunset, like,
or 3 or 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But then I think when it comes to texting, I don't think that is something you should necessarily slow down.
I agree completely.
Because there's like so much like overthinking that the other person can do.
True. And also, they are your friend. Like, you are still, even if you know your friend likes you, you're still allowed to be their friend if you don't have feelings. But just, you know, don't slip up and let that best friend think that they're in a different position than they're actually in your life.
Yeah. So I kind of still stick by what I said. If someone asked me out and I didn't feel the same way, I think I would say, I really appreciate you making your feelings clear and taking the initiative. I think we're better off as friends, but like, I still respect you, and like, I still want to hang out with you. And I think by validating them, it makes the blow a little softer.
True.
But then I think if you're on the other side and you just got turned down like that, you should probably just believe what the other person is saying. Don't think that they're just being nice and softening the blow.
And please don't think, especially if somebody's your friend, I'm assuming you trust your friends and you're close to your friends, if their words are physically telling you, I don't want a relationship, I don't see you that way, like, I could maybe, but I'm not in a position right now where I see you that way, like, let's just keep it as friendship, and if something happens, it happens, or maybe it doesn't, just listen to them. Don't try to convince them otherwise. Like, don't try to be the exception. Don't try to be like the perfect boyfriend, because you're going to feel like you're doing all this effort and you're being overlooked, but the other person has told you clearly they want friendship. So, like, what are you doing all this effort for?
I love that. And even if they didn't tell you clearly and they're being a little ambiguous with what they're saying, saying, I'm not sure, maybe not right now.
Yeah.
Let's just stay friends and we'll figure it out. If something happens. Those are still the same signal. It's signaling that they're not down to just start dating you. And so in that scenario, it's really, really important to stop and not keep trying to make moves, because if you do keep trying, most people's attitudes when they keep trying is, I have a chance, I'm going to be the exception. But in reality, the way that you're coming off as is creepy. You don't respect boundaries, and you're not respectful of their wishes and signals.
And you would end up ruining the friendship. But also, it's just like, I think what we started off with is the point of, or like a reason that people want to like start talking to their friends is so that there's not that pressure. But if you're intense and if you keep trying, like, you're putting pressure on the other person, and you still have that same pressure on you, you know, because you still have these expectations and you want certain results and you've already made up your mind. So I think especially going from friendship to a relationship, you have to be way more open-minded.
Yeah. And I think a way to not put more pressure unknowingly is, let's say I ask my friend out and she turns me down. And she says she still wants to be friends. And I'm like, okay, I think in that scenario, it's important that I don't initiate a hangout right away or just start talking. I need to wait for the other person to initiate with me. And then we can kind of go from there and resume the friendship.
And you can just take a beat also. Like, you just had all these feelings. Like, you know, maybe it was just because a moment in your life where you were feeling really low and they were there and you caught feelings. Because you can catch feelings and then they pass also.
Yeah.
So just like take a beat, like you have other friends in your friend group, like, you know, do the things that you like. Ethan always is like a big advocate for like doing your hobbies and just like, you know,
Investing
and then
in yourself.
Yeah, and then you'll feel more complete as a person on your own. So then you can just come back to the friendship and it won't feel like it just like destroyed your whole world just because this person doesn't like you back.
Yeah, and that it's also going to help because when you're doing things on your own, you're not just becoming a better person, but you're also finding new friends. And so your friendship is not just tied to this one person. And so you're taking pressure off yourself too.
You're spending time with other people, like everything just, totally agree.
Yeah, you're having a more full life. Okay. I can bleep this out. Or bleep this part out if you don't want to like talk, Sania. But you've been in situations where you were friends first and they wanted something more.
Right.
And it became really hard to stay as friends.
Yeah.
And so was there anything that you could have done that they could have done? Is it still possible even after things get awkward and you're not on such great terms anymore to like salvage the friendship?
Yeah. So it's funny that you asked this now because I just talked last week.
Oh shoot, I have to beep that out. Okay. Okay.
But
okay, so it was last week. It wasn't okay.
So we talked before, but it was like I did bring him, remember, like so you can bleep.
Yeah.
I did what I planned.
Okay.
And then we didn't really talk that day.
You should just say it.
Okay.
I just bleep it.
Okay, well.
But I might forget it because I have done that before.
I won't let you. I brought him, like, you know, I showed up at his. We were friends and I knew we were in a fight and I wanted to be friends again. And I felt like I did some stuff wrong. I was like, you know, being not the best friend. So I was like, I messed up. Let me go fix it. We didn't really talk that day because he was really busy with work. And then we decided to talk last week. And, you know, I thought that the talk was going to be just about our friendship. And, like, you know how I'm not a perfect person. Like, sometimes I'm not very nice if I'm feeling hurt. And that's not good. You can't be not nice to your friends. You should always, you know, have like a minimum level that you should not cross. And I feel like sometimes I dip my toes on the other side and it's not good. So I was, you know, taking accountability and I was like, I know I messed up. Like, still want to be your friend. I respect you, whatever. But unfortunately, because there was this whole romantic interest also involved in this friendship, basically I was told that we can't be friends anymore. That all along, every time he was saying that he wanted to be friends, he was lying to himself, he was lying to me. You know, even the little stuff that we would do as friends, like I'm saying, it's totally innocent to go play tennis with a friend. Sometimes it's not. So I think looking back at that whole situation, I think things that I would have done differently, I would have not hung out with him so much. Like, I get it, like I didn't have like a huge group of friends that I was picking from because like we had a group and then half of them moved away. So then it was just me and him left. And I think I could have stayed hanging out with him and it would have been fine. I do have friends that I still do that with. But I think not consistently every week. And especially because we kept getting closer and closer and closer. I think that should have been a sign for me. Like, even though I did say with my words that I didn't want anything, I think, you know, sometimes because he is such a good friend, you know, and so I wanted to like him. It would make my life so easy. Like, I know someone who genuinely cares about me. Like, it'd be very easy to date somebody like that. But those feelings never caught up. So I think sometimes I was confused and, you know, maybe I gave mixed signals because I had those mixed emotions. And I was like, oh, like maybe it could work, but just not right now. But I think it's just better to, even if he's upset, create a little bit of space. If he's saying he likes me, create a little bit of space because I think that's the only way to keep the friendship. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for talking about that. I think that goes into having healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
And these boundaries are not to hurt anyone or not to like be this kind of rule that restricts you, but it's to make sure that you don't get hurt, but the other person doesn't get hurt. And
because like it's scary when you're just friends, like in the early stages and you're asking somebody out and they say no. But then if you really like let yourself get in really, really deep, and then somebody says no, it is really hard, I think, for the other person to stay friends. And this has happened with multiple people over like the course of my life. So clearly I'm not very good at it. And it is like a really big lesson that, you know, if I am feeling, because it's just like, sorry, like I don't want to hate on guys.
Well, you can hate on them. I think there's a lot to hate on.
Good, I like that you said that. But I'm just going to say, because guys have so much pride, a lot of times I do start feeling like somebody who's my friend, like, because I feel them putting out those feelers, and I'm like, oh, like, what if they're interested? And so, you know, either I'll try to like ask them, or like be like, oh, like, I don't know, I'll try to do something, whatever I can in my own ways to let them know that I'm not interested. But then, like, a lot of times guys will be like, oh, bro, like, I obviously wasn't talking about you. Why do you think everyone's obsessed with you? And then literally 3 weeks later, I get a call and it's like, hey, I do like you. And it's like, you know, like, am I just destined to be a villain in people's lives? Like, because you're bad if you do, and you're still bad if you don't.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, ugh.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that. I will say, speaking for the guys, they might hate me for this, but I think girls, if you're listening to this, if you have if there's a hint of doubt that someone might be being a little flirty or putting out feelers, they have some kind of interest.
Right?
They do. Like, as much as they'll deny it, they're like, I don't know, telling you whatever cock and bull story they want. Like, they have some level of interest. And the bad thing is that sometimes, even if you give them a chance, they will like pull away. Yeah. And it goes back to that yellow cab theory. Guys are always thinking about potential in girls that they're around, but then they're also, they don't want to settle. Yeah. So like, you need to be careful. I'm trying to think how to be careful, but it's so hard.
It is really hard. Like, that's why I think our first episode was what it was, and we said, like, you know what, just avoid the complications, avoid the mess, the potential drama, and just like date people with intention, like not really dating from like your friend group. But I think we gave a lot of really good pointers, Ethan, throughout this episode of like how you can do it in like a good way, in a healthy way. Yeah. To not hurt people as much, like, you know, to minimize the damage, I guess we can say.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another episode where we talk more about what goes on in a guy's head, like what kind of micro signals do they send, and what do they really mean when they say they're not actually interested, and then what is like going on in their heads when they don't want to settle, and they've like tried to initiate things, and then all of a sudden they're like gone with the wind. Oh, I would love to know the ins and outs of this episode. Okay. I'm very excited. Okay, the only obstacle is we'll probably have to find a good guest for this. Yeah. Who can like speak a good amount. Who can speak honestly. Yeah. So this might not be the next episode, but we'll have to talk about that. Okay. Well, I think we reached a good point. I think so, yeah. Okay. Then we're going to wrap up this episode with a profile review. So our friend Val has given us her profile, and I think this is going to be a fun one. So these are just images. We're just going to scroll through them. Thank you, Val. All right, here you go. I think that... Wait, did you know this was coming, by the way? I had no idea this was coming. Okay. I was watching you, and you had no reaction. I'm like, yeah, I had no idea this was coming. Okay, shout out to Val. Okay, so I think I know, Ethan, I gave you for having too much smile in your first photo, but I think it's because, like, you know, girls and guys have certain archetypes, and like girls are supposed to be those sweet, innocent, like cute, and guys should be like masculine, whatever. Not that I'm saying we promote those or don't promote those, but Val's first photo is, I think, very welcoming and very inviting. I love this first photo. I think it's so cute.
I think for girls, it's actually the opposite of what I was saying for Ethan's profile and for guy profiles in general. I don't think you should have a model photo for your first one.
Wow.
Like low key. You can.
Okay.
I think you are allowed, but I think for girls, if you have like something that just shows you're sweet and warm and inviting, like that's great. Like I would totally keep scrolling.
Dang, every girl who like changed her profile after the first episode's like punching the air right now. She's like, I have to change it back.
No, model photos are still okay, but I'm saying I think for girls this is also okay.
Yeah, I love this. This is warm and inviting.
And she's outside, so we know she's like outdoorsy. Like it gives like a tidbit of like her interests and personality too.
Yeah, I think this is a great
And it
one.
matches the prompt below. This year I really want to explore the city. Mayhaps with you. Which is very cute. It matches the smile. Like the text is kind of like giving the same vibe as the smile. And then it's giving like very exploring, like outdoorsy, likes to be in nature.
Yeah, and it's kind of both. She's in nature, but then she also wants to explore the city.
Yeah.
So she's versatile.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so we get some of the stats. Oh, actually, the stats are hidden.
Okay.
But we can see that she's Catholic. She grew up in Los Angeles. She's looking for a long-term relationship, monogamy, all great things. I think she's making public everything that needs to be seen.
All the things that are important to her.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's very simple. Sometimes people will have like long explanations like under long-term relationship. I like how it's just simple.
I agree. I like that I can teach you how to. So we're still seeing more of that explorer like side kind of come out.
Yeah.
And we're seeing her interests, which is always really good for a second photo because we want to know like what are you all about. You've already trapped us with your cute smile, but it's like, okay, what's next? What does your personality consist of? What are your hobbies and stuff?
And that's paddleboarding, right?
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Oh, have you ever tried? Okay. I've wanted to try and I've never gotten a chance.
Oh, you should go in Lake Tahoe.
Oh.
It's really nice there. I mean, I ate but it's really nice.
Is it
it's
like
not as intense as the ocean,
Is
it's
it
a baby step?
Okay. Is it a good like first date thing to do?
Oh yeah. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like serial dater. We didn't go just us. It wasn't like a date. We just went with a big group of people, but me and him were sharing a paddleboard.
Oh shoot.
And I didn't know how to swim. So when the board flipped over and I thought I was gonna die, I was like trauma bonded to him for like a good 2-3 days.
Dang.
Totally a good date spot, I think.
Dang. Let's say you're like in a big group of friends. Does it say anything if you're on a paddleboard with a guy?
Totally.
It says?
Not like, well, I mean, there was 3 paddleboards and 6 of us, so like we needed to split up. And he just happened to be one of the stronger swimmers, so I should have been with him. So like at that point, no, it wasn't very clear, but no, I think you can just be on a paddleboard with a friend. I think depending on like if he's sitting very close to you or like trying to be like, oh, lie down, like that could be some stuff. That could be saying some stuff. But if you're just both like trying to survive these waves together, I think it doesn't have to mean anything.
Okay. Great second picture.
Yeah, we like it.
It's a great conversation starter too.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Third picture, my weekends look like, and it's her with a group of friends. So I'm liking that she's introducing the friends in the third photo, and I like that she's saying that she's social, she like has a good group, but I think I would have liked to see one more photo of like her alone before I saw the whole group.
Oh, so you just changed the order.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm always about the order. I know on a lot of dating apps, people like I've seen, people point an arrow at who they are, because right now like this one doesn't really show your face, so I only have one photo where seen how you look. So it's like when I look here I'm just like wait let me find her. But I want to be able to easily spot you in that group.
Yeah.
So I would always keep the friend photos like one at like the bottom 3, somewhere in the bottom 3. How many do you get in total? 6?
On Hinge 6.
Yeah, so somewhere bottom 3.
Okay. Something that our viewers have brought up that they really disagree with is they say that they don't think you need pictures with friends. They're totally okay with just having pictures of themselves.
Right.
And sometimes they feel a little self-conscious putting their friends out there. Like maybe their friends don't feel comfortable with that.
That is super like a valid point. And I think a lot of people do have, I don't even think Yeah, I think you're allowed to have just you in your profile. But it's just nice to like see you do something or be around other people or like, you know, it doesn't need to be a post photo of a group like this, but maybe like all of you guys are sitting around a table and there's a lot of backs of heads and you're just like anything just to show that you're not a serial killer. Remember that was like the reason that we wanted the friend photos.
Right. So I think the key is you need to be prominent in your pictures, whether you're in a group or by yourself. But then being in like a public setting so that it doesn't look like a stock photo is important.
Like I remember, who was it, Kings of Leon that we were looking at?
Oh, I realized later that's actually a band name.
Oh.
But we can still call him Kings of Leon.
Okay. Anyways, whatever his name was, I remember he had photos of like him being in the street, like, and you could see the full body, but like it looked like all the people in the background were erased, and that was super creepy. And like the whole profile was just him, like there was no.
And his photographer.
Yeah. So I think, it's totally cool if you're not comfortable putting your whole group of friends out there. You don't need to.
Yeah.
But just like, I think the friend photos are a little bit less posed typically than just the you photos. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great photo still. I agree. I would move it down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's debate this topic. Best female pop vocalist.
Okay. Cute. I like the debate prompt.
Yeah.
I feel like it gets a conversation going, and it's telling me she's into music.
Yeah, it's way better than just asking what kind of music do you like.
Yes. Oh my God.
This
so
is
much
like
better.
a good entryway into that. How much do you think music taste says about the other person?
Okay, so I don't even have a real formulated music taste myself.
Okay.
So that's why I think it says nothing about the other person.
Okay, so let's say you were like looking at this profile. Do you think that, because I think a lot of people are like you, they don't have like one taste. They just enjoy like nice music that fits the mood.
Right, yeah.
And so like, do you feel like this is something that you could reply on? I think for me, I'm also similar to you. I just like a lot of people.
Thought I was gonna get judgment.
It's hard for me to pick who's the best.
Right. I think if I like her profile, which so far I'm liking it, I feel like I would just respond. Like immediately I read that and I was like, Dua Lipa.
Oh,
not for any particular reason. Like maybe if you ask me tomorrow, I'll change my mind and it'll be like Taylor, like Swift or something. But just like if you like the person, you can say something about like. The way that the prompt is written, it doesn't make me feel like Val is super intense about like her music taste and she's gonna like have like a specific niche and just like, you know, like it feels like it's still very open and inviting. Like I could still talk to her.
Yeah, it could be like Dua Lipa because she's always on vacation.
Yeah.
Or it could be like Billie Eilish because I love her hair.
Yeah.
So you can make it.
It doesn't feel like Val's super intense with her music stuff. Because I think some people, I've seen, you know, those like, you can put multiple choice questions?
Yes.
Okay. And maybe they'll have like specific band names. And if I don't know any of those band names, because you have such a niche taste, like I can't respond to that. So I like that this is like a little bit more open.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep going. Life outtake.
I really, really like this one.
Oh, wait, why?
I think
I'm back and forth.
Okay. I really, really like this one because I think, you know, like you said, when you're on dating apps, when you're on social media, like a lot of people just want to put their best foot forward, their best photo, their most, I don't know, edited photo, their like perfect photo that took them a bazillion tries. But I really like this one because it tells me, first of all, like she can laugh at herself, which is a great quality for somebody to have. And it shows me that she's not afraid to just like show who she is. She doesn't need to be filtered all the time. You know? So like even if she had this photo, for example, and like didn't have the friends one, that's okay. This shows me like, I think we said that the friends photo brings out like a human form. Like it shows like that you are a real person, you have real like, you know, this photo is very real and like human to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't keep it as a fourth photo. Maybe I would keep it as like second last. Not last, because it's a very, I don't know what note to end the profile on, but maybe second last photo.
Okay.
What do you think? I'm sensing disagreement.
So I go back and forth on this, but I think that this, at the end of the day, this is still a dating profile. Like we're not done with it yet, and like the good thing, like for Val is that when you're a girl and you're on the apps, in general, you're gonna get interest no matter what.
Yeah.
I like for
True.
guys it's much harder.
True.
And so, but like I still think on a dating app you're trying to
Impress.
yeah, and I like what you said, Sania, that Val is showing that fun side.
Yeah.
She doesn't take herself too seriously. She's down to like clown around at home. But I feel like you could give those signals off, like with a picture where, I don't know, you're doing a headstand or something.
Okay.
I think this is like, this almost felt a little too personal too quick.
Okay. I think, sorry, also because we know Val, so it's like maybe...
We never said that.
Maybe it's just like we're judging it differently. I think, actually, even if this is somebody I didn't know, she's got like a nice smile.
Yeah.
Like cute lounge clothes. Like I'm looking at the outfit too, and I like the outfit.
Okay.
And I like that the house is not dirty. Like, you know, there's like stuff, but so like I'm not just looking at her.
Yeah.
I do think it's very personal. That's why I think it could maybe, and also because it's not that, you know, aesthetic, perfect, like trap me photo. I think it could be like second last, maybe even last. But I'm feeling like second last. I don't think it needs to be this early for sure. I'm not gonna say I don't like the photo. I think it's cute. Like I think if I saw, you know, if I'm on a dating app and I'm seeing like a guy has like a funny photo like towards the end, I think it's great. Like I like, you know, we like people that are not so serious all the time.
Wait. Okay, so after this, I'll show you a picture that I have that is kind of funny.
Okay.
I feel like if I saw that picture on a dating app, it's like auto swipe left.
Really?
Yeah. I'll show you.
I think if it's the first photo, it's an auto swipe left.
I feel like if a guy did something like this, it's a huge turn off.
Let me see your photo.
Okay. After this, I'll show you. And then I'll pop it up on screen too. Don't worry. Okay. I won't shut up about my houseplants and that time I studied abroad.
I like the way she phrased it. And that time I studied abroad. Because that's how a lot of people who study abroad talk about it. So again, like, what I've been liking so far about the profile, Ethan, is that every prompt and every photo has been giving a different aspect of her personality.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling too much like it's too repetitive, which I really like. Like, I think if she talked in this again about, like, water sports or something, I'd be like, all right, we've already seen that. So I like that, you know, we're getting another dimension.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I like is that the prompts are so open-ended.
Yeah.
And so as a guy, it's so easy for me to pick any of these prompts to respond to.
Okay.
Sometimes with dating profiles, it's actually really hard because they'll say, I want someone who loves country music.
Right.
I would not know how to respond to that.
I don't like country. You can respond with that.
Or maybe I just don't know enough about it to say anything.
Right.
And I trap myself. So I love like these prompts where I could ask, what is your favorite house plant? Or what is a good nursery around here? And then tell me about where you studied abroad and what you liked about it.
I like that she didn't reveal too much about studying abroad.
Exactly.
Like, I like that she didn't say, that time I studied abroad in Italy. It just, it makes you want to ask the questions.
Yeah, and it forces you.
It makes you curious. Like, yeah.
Great. Okay.
I think this is such a good photo.
Yeah. This should be like the second.
First or second.
Yeah.
100%.
Actually,
this should not be hidden at the bottom.
I think I would put this first.
I would also put it first.
Yeah.
I would definitely put it.
I would move the first one to second.
Second, yeah.
I would just shift them down after
Totally.
that. Yeah.
This is a really nice photo. This is like that. This is equivalent to that model trap me. Like, but it's still cute. It's still very like welcoming and warm.
Yeah.
So.
I totally agree.
Yeah, Val, move that.
Yeah. Great background.
Yeah.
I could tell that you love to explore.
Yeah.
And great outfit.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Okay, I think this might be the last one. Oh, that's the last one.
I didn't see anything, Ethan. Don't worry.
Oh, man. I need to be careful with this. I need, like...
I'm dead. Okay. I think I overall really liked it.
Yeah.
I think I would move the... I think, again, just the reordering of the photos. I think don't give away too much of your personality too soon.
Yeah.
And don't hide your really good pictures. Mm-hmm. I think that's what I would say for this profile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, W profile.
Yeah.
Would swipe right.
Mm-hmm.
She did a great job.
Honestly,
It almost sounds like she listens to this podcast.
I think if this last photo was first, I would have swiped right, like, since the beginning.
Oh, wow. Wow, you're easy.
It's a really aesthetic photo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dare I say a perfect photo, but it's really aesthetic.
I would say that. Yeah.
All right.
Great job, Val.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for sharing your profile with us.
Yeah.
Hopefully we helped you out.
Yeah. Okay, so before we cut it, I'm just gonna show you my
Ethan's equivalent.
Yeah, my dumb photo. Hey, let me just find it really quick.
I think, didn't you have a dumb photo in your profile?
No.
Like, your mouth is open with the kid, with the baby.
Oh.
That's your equivalent of a dumb photo.
Yeah, but
It's like a funny photo. It's like you're laughing, like a not so serious about yourself photo.
right, but it's still kind of put together. I'm gonna show you a picture that's not that put together. That's just like this one.
I think this is okay.
If you saw that on a dating app,
I'm gonna be honest. Even if I saw this as a last photo, maybe I wouldn't be that into it.
exactly.
I want to be into it because I'm like, oh, he's traveling, he's funny, he's planking, maybe he has some ab strength. I don't know. Is your foot touching over there?
I'm like looking over the edge.
Okay. You look adventurous, you look fun. Maybe if it's like the very last photo, it could be passable, but it wouldn't be.
But that still proves my point.
Yeah.
Like a picture like this is not helping you.
Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah. So I would rather have my mouth open with a baby, right? Like
Okay.
I'm seeing kind of the same with Val.
Yeah. Okay. I get it. I think I get what you mean.
Too. Okay. I don't know. So at the end of the day, you're still showing an honest side to yourself, and I think we want everyone to feel you should do what you're comfortable with. But just from our perspective, those are the things that we see.
Just our opinion.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us for this ride. This was, I don't know, this is kind of crazy episode for me. I feel like there was just so much there, and I'm hoping we covered everything.
Yeah. And I'm hoping we were clear. I know we go back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
But we're just like, this is our first time talking about these topics. Like, none of this is pre-planned.
Yeah.
So we're just figuring it out as we go with you guys.
Yeah. But thank you for joining. Hopefully we're going to have our first guest soon, but we'll catch you in the next one.